How's it going? Motor City Miner here, coming at you from Detroit again. Just another update. This is a pretty big one. Not only, as you can see, do we have all our network cabling in and going all the way around and through all these rooms. Finally, it's all cleaned up. No more trip hazard. Well, okay, I guess there is a trip hazard. There's my drill and a toolbox, but almost no trip hazards. It's nice and clean, it's great. I kind of fixed the lights that were all dangling. They are not really compatible with the boxes they put in, so that's actually probably why they didn't. But they're at least where the boxes are now instead of just dangling. Really love the cable management. Everything's up high out here and then down low in all the rooms so I can use it. Had to be up high to get across this walkway I'm in. So. But these clips worked out real well. They can kind of divide. They have like 4 sections in the clip, which is great. But yeah, so also a pretty big update because we are mining ish. ASIC miners are going. I think I got all my ASIC miners here except for I have 3 BTC Canaan miners, which are not here at the moment, but all the other ASIC miners are here. Octaminers, that's a different story, work in progress. Still programming all the rigs, you know, with the rig config files, and got to get a lot of GPUs over here. But we got our 4 mini Doges down here from Bullshell. They're all mini Doge Pros. We do have a brand new. Of course, it's giving me a red error, so I'm curious what that's about. But this is a Blue Star L1, the Litecoin miner / Dogecoin miner. Having it in low power mode at the moment, but which is really awesome. You know, like I think it's like I guess we can take a look. We are currently getting 3.77 amps at 245, 46-ish volts, so I can't do that math in my head, but probably like right around 850 watts. And it's getting like 2 gigahash right now, so it's really efficient in low power mode. It is a power hog in non-low power mode though, I will say that. It was getting, for me, like 5.2 gigahash, which is above what it's rated for. It's rated for 4.9, so it was averaging like 5.2, but I mean it was also consuming like 3,800 watts, so a little ridiculous power consumption. But yeah, so these are our cable management, so you can see the different sections here I was talking about. So we have 6 hard lines. But yeah, so you can kind of see the 4 areas here, and my strategy was always putting essentially the one in the front is the one that dies in that room. So if we follow the front along, it branches off and goes over to my units over there. Right now I'm just using dumb network switches. Someday I'll get something nicer, but these are what I had prior in my tent setup, so that is what's being used right now. So yeah, kind of kept that same strategy going. So once that front one peels off, obviously that slot opens in the next room. So since I have more wires than there are slots, essentially I've stacked in this back one, and in that first room the back 2 were stacked. So as it goes on, they slowly unstack, with the top one in the back stack, this one here, being the one that goes the furthest into the building. So you can kind of see the same strategy here. First one peels off, goes to my rack. And again, more ASIC mining in here. I know we had one of these before just for heating the building, but got another 4 mini Doge Pros. And then this is a KD Lite. I do have, it's a little expensive, but honestly I really like it because it just works really well. This is how I had them set up in a tent at my house. But this PSU, like I said, is a little expensive for what it is. It's like 200 bucks from Cold Shell directly. But it is nice that it's, you know, Super efficient and kind of built for these. I've had some bad luck with ATX power supplies on these, but this thing works like a charm. You know, it has only 6 pins, so there's no extra pins that you have to like peel out of the way or anything. So it has 4 6 pins that all come from this 1200 watt power supply. And honestly, they've ran for like a year at this point on this thing and have had no issues. So I really like this power supply. So I have one for each of my in groups of 4 of these monitors. So like I said, got 4 more mini Doges in this room. And then in what will be Green Squadron, I have 4 KD Box Pros. Ignore my horrid cable management at the moment. That's a work in progress. But I did get cables that match each room, so you know, you gotta have fun sometimes. But yeah, 4 KD Box Pros, same power supply, and going with the green theme made sense to put my library miner in here. So this is my LB Lite. Oh, and my missing pieces for this shelf came in, so I can finally finish the 2 shelves that are missing, and the ones that are just missing the cross bracing, which I think are in the other room. And then, so this is Blue Squadron again. So you can see that I've kind of finished in here. So we did some trim work to cover up any spots where I could see insulation or exposed like crumbling edge of drywall. And we got the 2 racks in here. So we'll have our 4 X8 Ultras and 4 more up in there. That'll probably be in the next video. Hopes to get those up here shortly. So going into the hot side of this, we have done some work in here. So this is kind of where the Ethernet continues out. This time it goes up because I don't plan to have anything on the top of these racks just because of the whole hot cold side wind tunnel situation. So I'll put my networking up top and then Ethernet's down to the units on each level. You can see I already got my PDU up, ready to go. But yeah, so cabling goes up top, still using these cool cables. So at this point, this room had to have 2 because I have 2 different stacks. One over there, one over here. So that's why I have an extra cable coming to this room. They don't all share one rack like in other rooms. We can go see where this last cord goes, so you can see the one sole cord by itself goes up. There's a hole through this masonry wall. This wall is masonry the whole way, so I try to avoid adding new holes because it is almost impossible with the tools I have to do so. So reusing this guy up here, comes in here, and on this side to come over to our one storage rack here where I do still have a KD light in here. This is to heat this room for now until I start getting exhaust coming through this vent that we just talked about. But until that point, this is going to be in here just so the heat doesn't have to kick on. You can see I do got my Bobcat healing miner. One last thing. So we have been working on this whole exhaust strategy. So I did actually, you can see I decoupled the elbow here. So there's a supply stack coming out of the furnace that kind of just goes to nowhere right now. But like I said, the idea is this will never be on. But so this currently comes out this way. I pointed it this way because the window's over here. So in theory, I should be able to put a window fan and exhaust straight out, which would be really great. And use this room as kind of a hot chamber. It's kind of my initial goal. So all the hot air from all the other rooms comes into the giant room and it, you know, mixes in here and gets sucked out. The fans I'm looking at can do like up to like 4,500 CFM per minute, which would be enough to, especially with all the supplies I have that would be pushing hot air from those rooms into here, would be enough to, in theory, do a whole air change per minute in all the rooms. So that would be great. That would keep heat down. Right now, these rooms are, I put temperature sensors in them. You can kind of see one actually here. This little guy here. Maybe I'll put a link down below. I really like the interface. It was really easy to set them up. I have them hanging from some hooks on the ceiling at about sprinkler height, because that's really what I'm concerned about, is making sure that the heat at the top of these rooms doesn't get too hot, because hot air will collect up there for now. So these rooms are at the top, up at the ceiling anyway. Down here it's a lot colder. These are really tall, tall bays, like 16 feet. But right now I think this one's registering like 83 degrees Fahrenheit up top, which is still perfectly fine for sprinklers, so not at all concerned. But long term, especially once I have all the octominers running and all these other shelves that are in the other rooms filled with ASICs and everything, definitely could get up to the threshold where fire sprinklers could go off without exhaust. So definitely something we're working on. But yeah, so I have temperature monitoring now in all the rooms, which is great. I did actually in this blue room, because we have the hot and cold side already, sort of. But we, in theory, could trap all the heat on that side. And I do plan to utilize that exhaust, like I said already, immediately. Because I have some fans. I just don't have the time right now to extend this duct through all the other rooms. But I do plan to use it here for blue already, to kind of be a prototype, so to speak, proof of concept for this whole hot and cold aisle that I hope to implement in all the rooms down the line. But we're going to try it here first. So I do have a heat sensor on both sides for that purpose right now. So I got one way up there, you can see. And then in the cold side, I got this one. So I can accurately track the temperature difference between the two sides, especially once there's negative pressure on the hot side with exhaust. So I can see how well these insulated walls really are. And supposedly pretty well sealed. I mean, like, yes, there's openings where the units are, but the door itself is an insulated door with weather seals. So kind of see how it works. And yeah, so that's kind of the next thing, is to get this room operating. I don't think the octominers in the other rooms are going to be going quite yet. They're kind of lowest priority, just because I do have a couple more ASICs, and I think at that point, without any type of exhaust, it might be a little too hot for GPUs. Not too hot to set off the fire sprinkler, but I don't like running my GPUs hot. I try to keep them cool at all times. So, but 64 in here is still, I think, a good testing ground of proof of concept here for this ventilating. So that's kind of what's up next. If there's any questions, ideas, just let me know down below. Like, subscribe, share. Until next time.